Give me a thumbs up here. Hello, Hello, everyone, and welcome to Build a Business Bootcamp. My name is Samson, and I'm your host for this panel. So I'm just going to first start with introducing a little bit about myself. As I said, I'm Samson, and I'm the Accounts Director at REVOLT. And what I do is I spend a lot of time working with small businesses and actually helping brands and businesses scale to the next level and get to the next level. And I'm here with some wonderful ladies who have businesses of their own and are also founders. And this session is basically just to help startups and businesses all around to know the ins and outs on building a business and the challenges, the successes, and just to hear some inspiring stories. So I'm going to start off with handing it over for the ladies to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Deb. If you can start, and then we can move on and we can just go in a circle.
Hairsmiths in Burrage.
Deb, I think you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just try that again. Okay, it is really cracking up a bit. So what I'll do is I'll come back to you and we'll go over to Caroline. I think you muted, Caroline.
Oh Lord, technology. I blame you on technology, not me. Technology. Hi everyone, thank you so much, goodness. Thank you everyone, it's lovely to be here with these wonderful, wonderful women. Happy International Women's Day. Haven't we done well? We have done well. And I know this is just the beginning of greater things for all women across the world. My name is Caroline Popoola. I run a chain of childcare settings in London. I've been doing this for nearly 16 years. And I have a chain of 15 settings in London. So we look after children between the ages of 3 months to 5 years. And then we run chains of breakfast and after school club for working parents like your beautiful selves, for children between the ages of 3 years to 11 years. And it's just been awesome. The business journey has been wonderful. It's been challenging but fun, and I don't wish it any other way. I never look back. I consider myself an entrepreneur true to the core. I constantly look for new business challenges and opportunities, but that's enough said about me. It's lovely to be here and with you beautiful ladies. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, no problem. Okay, on to Emma.
Hi there, so my name's Emma Frew and my company's called Breeze Connection. I'm also in the process of setting up a second company on property. So as you can hear from the accent, I'm from an area called Ayrshire near Glasgow, you might have heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had my company Breeze Connection for about 6 years now. And it's effectively a marketing agency now. It's changed a lot over those 6 years, but we're completely focused on marketing. We've got a team of 16 that operate across the UK. Yeah.
Amazing. Fiona?
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me. My name is Fiona Grayson and I'm the founder of a company called She Can, She Did, which is the UK's first benefits programme for female founders in the UK. So we basically provide female freelancers, self-employed women, directors of limited companies with all of the kind of benefits that come hand in hand with a corporate job. So things like pensions, health insurance, access to gym memberships, all of that, as well as a whole host of lifestyle benefits and wellbeing benefits to obviously support the woman at the helm of the business. And I launched She Can, She Did in 2017. To basically debunk the girl boss myth. It kind of started as a bit of a hobby. I just kind of started to see the rise of the girl boss movement and was really frustrated by, I guess, the lack of dishonesty about actually the realities that go on behind the scenes of running a business when you see things on Instagram. So went around the UK, just traveling, interviewing female founders, asking them to really open up to me about everything they've been through, warts and all, shared their stories. And then that's where the benefits program that we launched last September came in, after seeing, I suppose, recurring challenges crop up across the board. But yeah, I won't drone on. I'm really happy to be here. Really looking forward to chatting.
Amazing. And then the next Fiona B.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to be part of the panel. Happy International Women's Day, everyone. I run a couple of businesses. Thank you. I run a couple of businesses, so design consultancy with my husband, which I've not listed here, but North is a lifestyle brand. We have a co-working space called Studio Inn, which is in our city, Norwich, where I live. And most recently, we launched a vegan body hair brand called SOP, which stands for Sense of Place. And that's it.
Amazing. And then lastly, Sherrille.
Hi everyone, happy International Women's Day, and thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Sherrille Riley, and I am the founder of Frew Beauty Brands. My first beauty brand is called Nails and Brows, and we're based in London, UK. Nails and Brows specialise in enhancing natural beauty through natural beauty treatments, which provides a really bespoke luxury approach, and is really designed to enhance everyday confidence. I created a collection of beauty products, which is called Beauty for Weekend. And that's really to enhance our clients' results at home, to recreate the professional results that we achieve in Holland. My company has been going for 7 years now, and I'm really excited to share my ups and downs and know-how with you all.
I'm glad. That's amazing. I'm wondering, do we have Deb back so she can have a quick introduction?
Hello.
Amazing. Deb, amazing. I think you're all better now. I can hear you much clearer. So if you don't mind introducing yourself to the panel.
And run around. Right, good. Hello, good afternoon. Good start. My name's Dominic, and I am the founder and owner of Hairsmiths, which is a salon in Norfolk. I've been in the industry for 20 plus years, and just before the pandemic we moved to our largest site, which was quite a thing, but we've obviously only worked in it for a fraction of the time. We'll be back there soon, so exciting times ahead. I'm just glad that you can hear me now.
Amazing. So I think what I'm going to start off with today is a question for all of us, and it's, what are the key things in being a female founder to make a business successful? So I'm going to start with Fiona Grayson. What are the few key successes that you think is important to make a business successful?
I think it's come over time. Like, I wouldn't have said this from day one, but I think in hindsight, for me, it's the ability to really define success on your own terms. I think kind of living in a society where everyone kind of understands what the broader, what people think success is, aka scale, go big or go home kind of mentality. And actually that doesn't suit every woman. I remember in 2017 interviewing someone where I said, where do you want to be this time next year, 5 years down the line? And she said, exactly where I am now, because my business makes me happy. It brings in enough revenue that I can have the life I want to lead. I can drop the kids off, etc., etc. And I remember walking away from that when I was 25, thinking like, oh, surely you'd want to scale a tiny bit, like grow it a bit. But now in hindsight, I'm like, absolutely fair play. So I guess for me, it's a case of my advice always now is just making sure that at every stage of your business journey, you're defining success on your own terms, asking yourself at every stage, who am I actually doing this for? And if it's not making you happy, really question it, because we haven't launched businesses that we start off so passionate about, only to grow them and suddenly you've disappeared, but grow them in such a way that it no longer becomes fun. So hopefully you heard that.
Amazing. I hope you guys can also hear me. I think I'm going to go on to Emma next.
So for me, I would probably answer that in two different ways. So just kind of echoing some of the things that Fiona had said, for me, on my journey, like I've really had to gain confidence in understanding what success meant to me. I think for a long time I was building a business that was something that I would see everyone else would see as successful. So at one point I had an office with 3 full-time staff and a part-time member of staff, and people were saying to me, "Oh, you're doing so well, but inside I was crumbling, and it was really hating life, and I had to make some at that point and change how we were running the company. But yeah, that's probably what I would say. Like interpersonally, I have to really now look at it as every day. So actually, am I happy in what I'm doing? For me, my biggest reason for doing things is freedom. So at that point, I really didn't feel free. And I had to make sure that I could feel free every day, and which I'm now really doing, which is great.
Amazing, thank you. Can we go on to Sherrille?
Hi. So, I'm very proud. I've created and launched 2 successful beauty brands in 7 years. Really proud of the knowledge I've gained and the experience in that space of time. I'm proud. Success for me is overcoming the crisis that we're in at the moment with the pandemic. My business has been closed most of last year and early this year. It's a bricks and mortar store, so we have our fixed costs, which is still there. And I'm really proud that we withstand it, and we're hopefully going to reopen in April. I've built an incredible team of women, and I'm really proud that, I've got such an amazing group of women that I work with and I'm passionate, about.
Amazing.
For me is waking up in the morning and still being driven and inspired and really excited about what I'm doing. Of course, there are moments that I am tired and I'm overwhelmed, but overall, I feel, happy with our, achievements.
Yeah. And then to you, Fiona Burrage.
Hi. So success to me is exactly what Fiona said, which is kind of making sure that it works for me as a business, and that I'm not working for it. But I think bigger picture, the values of my business, specifically relating to SOP, is that it's a business that does good and that is good. So one of the things I'm working towards is, starting the journey is for B Corp status, because I really think it's really important that, for me, that it's a business that's able to give back. So at the moment we support the Norfolk Wildlife Trust because it's in Norfolk, but as the brand grows and if we work in different territories, I'd like to support local charities in that area. So I suppose those are kind of the wider values that I want to make sure that I can instill within my business.
Yeah, that's amazing and inspiring as well. Over to you, Caroline.
Thank you so much. And I think based on what everyone said, and in particular what Fiona Grayson said, success definitely is a journey. You discover every day. Obviously, like all of us, I'm sure the first day we started the business, we wouldn't be able to say all of the things we've said now, because you're learning as you go along. And obviously, especially what the last year has chopped at us, really, no one would have foreseen that whatsoever. So it's a big journey that you learn and you get to discover, even as a woman, how strong you are in yourself. And again, Fiona Burrage said that the whole thing around benefiting and changing lives and impacting lives, which is what they're doing. And again, from day one, I couldn't have said that, but now I know part of my purpose of being a woman and having a business is the fact that I want to better other people's lives. I want to make a change. So it's not just about me, myself, and I, and the team, the wonderful team I have around me of 75 wonderful men and women, but it's about other people, that how can I impact their life? And this is what I call success. So for anyone listening, is the fact that don't think from day one you would have all of this figured out. You don't have it all figured out. It comes as a journey as you go along in your journey. And sometimes you have to pivot, that terrible word again that came up last year. Sometimes you have to pivot slightly to stay on track. But define success by yourself. Don't go on the basis of what other people are doing. Be yourself, be happy to do what you want to do, and that's what success. But again, all of the answers are correct, and we are successful for ourselves, basically. Thank you so much.
Amazing. And just before I move on to Deb to answer that question, I think we've heard a lot in terms of kind of around the same things of what success means to you. And I think that's what's really important. And there's so many misconceptions on business. Being a business, someone who actually works with a lot of small business myself, I know, and I think we all know on the panel how many misconceptions there are. And it's not an overnight thing. It doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's something we will touch on later on in the panel. I just want to encourage everyone watching to ask questions, because there will be a time for us to go and read them and pick a few and let the ladies answer as well. So back to you, Deb. So just to repeat my question, what are the key things in being a female founder and having a successful business?
I think for me, which I'm learning all the time, as Caroline said, is a huge journey, and I'm far from the end of it, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I think as I go along, for me, it's always been about learning your craft, like knowing what you need to know inside out. Probably I'm definitely still learning not only my craft after 20 odd years, but also, the technology, as we've seen this morning, like learning all the other things. It's not just, I can't just cut hair for my business. I also have to, I'm cutting hair, I'm managing people. I need to know all of those things, and I need to know things about technology, which I can't use my my era as an excuse, but I'm from an era of non-tech, if you like. So you've got to get with it, and you've got to learn that. Again, be true to your identity. I think I think it's great if you can be inspired by people, but fundamentally be you, because that's your superpower. That's who you. No one else can take that away from you. So be inspired, but be yourself and be true to yourself as well. And the biggest thing I think for me is graft. Like literally graft for your craft. There's not enough graft on this planet, but don't let it take you away. So really, really work hard. But I think one of the other biggest things that I'm learning to do recently is also thank yourself. Like I hugely will focus on all of the things I have done. Yeah, that's good. That's my job. I've got to get all of those done. But if there's one thing I haven't done in a day, that's my failure. And we have to learn to actually recognise all the successes as well as the things we haven't managed to get done. So I think it's just thanking yourself as well, and recognising how far you've come, and recognising what you're doing. Just taking a step back sometimes. I think just take a step back and look at yourself and what you're doing through other people's eyes, and realise like how far you have come as well. Yeah.
And I think that's important, because it's so easy to get caught up, obviously being so involved in the business and growing it from the ground up. It's so easy to kind of get lost in that and just doing. But when you actually stop to take a step back, you actually see how far you've grown and how far you've actually come as a business. I think that's very important. So on to my next question. So this is for Caroline. You mentioned when you were introducing yourself that you spent 16 years in your industry and doing childcare. And I want to know, how did you build a strong team to be able to support you for that long?
I think the question should be, have I got any hair left on my head? Thank you so much, goodness. I remember attending a Goldman Sachs training course in 2018 at Oxford University for 4 months. And obviously, out of all 80 people that were there, the common trait was the fact that managing people is the hardest thing ever. And I obviously 16 years, I still have 1 or 2 staff that started with me at the time, and they're still with me, which I try not to take the credit for, because I'm thinking, you must be doing something right, Caroline, even though you don't think so. You have that little voice that tells you you're not good enough and all that stuff. But then if you're not good enough, you have these people, they've been with you for 16 years, all that. But I think, and they remember the first time I would come in and scream and shout, I'm such a perfectionist, this is ridiculous, this is not good enough. And it just boils down to what we've talked about from the beginning. It's a journey. I get to know myself. I get to know my strengths. I get to know my weaknesses. I constantly evaluate myself. And I listen to my team in terms of, what would you like? Help me to be better. I'm such a vulnerable leader. It's ridiculous. I'm so vulnerable. I open my heart to my team, and people love you when you're being genuine, when you're being authentic, when you're being honest. That's how you carry people along with you. And I think if everyone listening, if they don't get anything out of this, I think the one thing we've said as leaders is the fact that be comfortable with who you are. Don't try and be somebody else. I know I'm a good person. It's me owning my vulnerability and still loving myself as a leader that helps people come along with me, and you having a vision, a dream that they can see that they fit into that vision. Because it's that thing of having to remind my team, this is our vision. Where do you fit into it? What can we do as a team together collectively? It's not about me. Yes, I have the vision, but how can we all make that vision work together? And they have that sense of responsibility, a sense of ownership, a sense of like they feel they're important to the business. You give them the credits they're due, and there's no reason doing all of that why they would not come along with you and make that happen. And I feel that's literally my way of how we've managed to work together. And if you notice, I'm not saying manage my staff. They're not my staff, they're my family. We're literally one. Yeah. Because I see your team as the engine of your business. And without you don't have a business. You know, and I'm sure a lot of us will agree that. So I'm not going to try and hug the whole thing, but yes, that's literally what works for me. That's what's worked for me, and it's still working, hopefully. So thank you so much.
Amazing. I mean, keeping on with the same theme of team building and working with your team, I have a question for Deb. How, with being in the industry for as long as you have and being in Hairsmiths, I think I even saw that you guys were 10 a couple of weeks ago, which is amazing. Congratulations. Have you always had the same team? And if so, how did you build that team loyalty?
We've evolved quite a lot. Initially, the first probably month that I opened the salon, it was just me in one room. I had a kettle under the desk so I could just make coffee, and I didn't dare leave. I thought, what if the phone rings? I probably didn't, I didn't go to the toilet, didn't do anything, just stayed in that room in case. And I was doing clients, but I didn't dare leave in between. So I was like, panicked, that I couldn't possibly. And I worked 7 days a week, blah, 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 blah. Then gradually my team joined. I've had conversations throughout. I used to be an educator as well in the salon that when I was employed before I started my own business. So I've known so many hairdressers over the years. It's just those having conversations. And at first, I panicked. Like I'm going to start this business. I've been employed for years, and now I'm going to have this thing myself. What if nobody wants to work with me? What if no one wants to do it? And somebody said to me, build it. I know it sounds, grand. Build it and they will come. And people did come. And I had my own workforce. Now, in the beginning, everyone was self-employed. It was quite a different model because I've never done this before. I'd only ever been employed. And then I realised over time, as I learned, and I realised I then wanted to make a little shift because I had different ideas for the business. I moved to be more, I became their employer. So that evolved over time. The team grew. We then took on apprentices, and we got bigger and bigger. We've now moved to we've moved from one room to a 4-floor
amazing
building in the middle of Norwich, which was a bit of a bit panicky when I first pulled it off. But now I've got 10 staff, and it's just a completely different setup from when I began, just through the things that I've learned. And like Caroline said, I've always that idea of family. I've always had that idea of like we're family. So we treat each other with respect. We give each other, just try and think what you're doing before you say it. On the other hand, we do fight like cat and dog, all of us. Like, we are like a proper family. But I think you have that balance. Everyone looks after each other. Throughout this whole year, everyone has taken care of each other. Every day, this morning, everyone's on the group chat in the morning talking to each other. It's the first thing that they do in the day. So you realise what a huge support network you are for each other. Without even realising it, all those little things. And I think it's just constantly as well, not taking your foot off the pedal. Just we've been educating during lockdown, so I've been on it a little bit. I've been, come on, we're doing this every week, we're doing that. Everyone's got their plans for when they can come back. So just staying on it and not taking anything for granted as well, I think. And just, trying to work with everyone for their future, for the future of this business, because without them, you know, I can't do this all on my own. So it's great. So
yeah, I think having a team, at first we all start off alone, or if you're lucky you have a partner, but having a team that grows with you and grows with the business is always kind of welcoming. And when you have people to just take on burdens for you and share the same vision, it's always a highlight of starting a business and growing a business. So my next question is for Sherrille, who's actually been in the beauty industry for over, I think, 20 years now. And you have one of the prime beauty spots in the city. And I want to know, and how did that happen, basically? How did you get to do that with basically having so many competitors on the same street?
Very good question. Naivety. When you say this, you do need to be naive. You need to be fearless and just imagine everything is going to be perfect. Because I think that's what most entrepreneurs think at the beginning. And you learn as you go along. I've been in the industry since 1997. So I'm pretty old school. I started my journey always in premium environment, premium product services, and after 10 years of working with companies, after 10 years of working with companies, I decided I would like to set up my own boutique. Because I've always been in premium establishments and environment. I wanted to be in Mayfair, which is the most exclusive premium location in London or in the UK. And I felt I had the knowledge and the skills and the clients to make that happen. I felt I could offer something unique, bring something unique to the table. And what's unique about us is that we bring a really bespoke luxury experience in an inviting environment. So all our clients, whether you're a high profile client or somebody that wants to treat yourself, you can expect really an exacting experience. Our location is very prime and premium, but the business has built a great following, and as a result, it's allowed us to grow and maintain our standards, grow our team and our following. So it's with a lot of hard work. As Caroline mentioned, for me, the key thing that I realized very quickly is building the right team, and that's an ongoing challenge for me, because our business is very is reliant on people to find the right team members to ensure that our standards are always on point, consistent, because our clients expect that, and also to keep our team inspired and motivated, and always looking ahead, because we are very trend led as people nowadays. We all want the latest best thing. So offering what we do, I have to always be looking ahead. What am I going to bring new to the table? What am I going to inspire my team and my clients? And waking up every morning with that sense of purpose. That's what I've worked so far.
Yeah, and I think what you said is important there, in terms of the question on a lot of business owners' minds is kind of like what to do next to be noticed by the customers or to be able to attract the attention they're looking for. And it kind of moves me on to the question of branding. And this is for Fiona Burrage. What do people notice more about branding? How are you able to build a brand today? And that's my question to you.
I should also say it's Burrage, not Burrage. I'll take Burrage. It makes me sound a bit French, so I'll take that. It's a good question about branding. I worked for a branding consultancy and I studied graphic design. So I think, I guess I place a real importance on that. And I think what's really important with a brand is you can go into an agency and you can get a nice shiny new logo, but if that doesn't ultimately communicate who you are and what makes you you, then you're not going to have a product or a business anyway. So I think what's really important is just to be genuinely authentic in every single touch point. So I mean, that's more than just the identity. That's the way that someone picks up the phone. That's the way that the email gets sent out. So I think yes, you need to go to a good branding consultancy such as the Click. But following on from that is just making sure that the application of that branding. And as was mentioned earlier, it's really important that you're constantly evolving. It's really important that you don't just design an identity, it's done. It's responding to what's happening in the wider context of the world and movements that are happening, and just making sure that you're staying relevant and that you're keeping informed. Because I think as a business owner, it's really important that you just stay constantly educated. You're all, in terms of doing the best that you can do, you've just got to always question stuff. And I say that to my son, and I don't say that in a way to be provocative, but the only way you're going to learn is you just kind of questioning and understanding exactly why things are the way they are, and if they could be done differently, or if they could be done better.
Yeah. Amazing. And with that, in terms of with branding, kind of showcasing what your brand stands for, I think it also goes on to building a community around that. Fiona Grayson, you spoke a lot about how you started in terms of seeing the whole girl boss thing and having an opinion about it and wanting to build a more truer community. So how did you build a community around your business?
I think that actually ties in really nicely with what Fiona was saying, because for me in 2017, when I started this, Millennial Pink was across any kind of female founded branding. It was all hashtag boss babes, hashtag girl boss, etc. I mean, I've got a list, but so I always say, me saying boss babes, it was just never going to happen. And I think in terms of community and building branding, just being really like true to yourself from day one. I knew that was what was trendy in like the girl boss space, and ultimately like they were my target audience, like female entrepreneurs, but it didn't sit well with me. And those phrases that were so popular, like I remember, God, how many articles, 10 shit hot tips to be a CEO kind of thing. And it's just like, well, I could have done that, and that's probably what would have got the best SEO at the time, etc. But just being like, that's not me at all. And I think very quickly, because I wasn't just sending out a Q&A over email. I was going to sit down and we went for coffees. I put my phone on record, and they just shared their whole stories with me, and I used to type those up in full. If we went off on a little tangent with a gossip, it would all go in there. And I think like that's what helped build that community, because from day one, I know Caroline said like honesty when you're building a team. I haven't skimmed over anything in the interviews with founders, but also my own story. So, and I think what always makes me laugh is the fact that honesty element is what helped grow She Can, She Did. But to me, that's just like, why isn't that a thing? But it's still one, and we're in this like viral like world where people still do just gloss over stuff, and it's kind of then perpetuates this idea that I must be failing because she's doing so much better than me. Like, how come she got there? And it's like, if we actually opened up and talked about all those the mini setbacks, etc., it would help us all in the long run. But I think going back to the point for me, community has just basically been, I have made it really clear what I stand for, and people, they align with it or they don't. And thankfully, I know Fiona Burrage, am I saying it right? Fiona Burrage. Was saying, oh crap, I've just lost my point. What were you saying? You were saying something. Basically, it really helps. Just, I think if you stay true to who you are, remember, like, don't try and pretend to be anything other than what, and that is sustainable in the long run. That's part of the question.
No, it's not. It's you're right on it, because it's building that community that fits your brand as well. I've seen people when helping people with their businesses and speaking about them, having consultations, wanting to have that core community where it's just specific to what they want to do. And it really comes to understanding the people, because we may want to have a community as big as, let's say, Girl Boss, for example, or other women-led movements, but it's all about what do your audience specifically want to know. And I think that you also mentioned, Fiona, a lot about the misconceptions on actually starting a business. And I think that's what we really want to get into, what people want to know, because sometimes we all see this pretty picture, but that's not how it started. That's not how it is. So I want to move on to Emma, and I want to ask that question. Just lead into that is, how can a small business raise money for their business? Because sometimes it's investors or crowdfunding, but what exactly do you think it is? What works for you?
I would say a few things, and I probably could answer this a lot different today than I would say a year ago. For me, like, I think something I've really learned is just to focus on like your sales, because a lot of the time I've worked with a lot of clients where they need money, suddenly they need income coming in for some reason, especially in the last year, and they gain investment really quickly, and then they don't think through the fact that they have to give away a portion of their business and things like that after they do that. They don't really think through the long-term effects of taking on an investor, for example. Whereas actually they maybe only needed a pot of money, which they could have just got if they just focused on their sales a bit more. So for me, I would say if you can get that with your sales and actually putting more of a focus around your marketing and your sales strategy, then that would be the first thing I would say. But also the fact that there is actually a lot of private investors that would invest for not a lot of return, which is something with my property business launching, I've really learned over the past 6 months. Just utilising things like LinkedIn and putting yourself out there through my personal brand on LinkedIn. I've probably been people approaching me and saying, can I invest in what you're doing? Which I was really surprised about. But there's so many ways that you can gain like private investment. There's different, like some of my clients in the past, we've used angel investors and things like that. There's so much money in the world, is something that I have really learned on my journey. There's no kind of limit to that. Also, a lot of grant funding as well, and things that I think people are not. There's the obvious ones, like I don't know if it's always the same in England, but in Scotland there's the Business Gateway and things like that. We've got Scottish Enterprise and things. So there's a lot of grant funding and loans available with them out with the usual going straight to the bank.
Okay, amazing. Good to know. And I wanted, because you yourself, you also work with a lot of small businesses. And can you tell me 3 simple things that like small businesses need to know? Because as you said, you work with Breeze Connection. So what do you normally tell your clients when they come to you asking all the questions in the world of where to go, how to market and everything else? Yeah.
First thing I always say is just everything takes either money or energy, like either your time and energy. So it will take money as an investor and paying someone else to do it for you. So I always just say, just do one thing first and get that really good first, rather than trying to do everything at the same time, especially from a marketing perspective. A lot of clients come to us and they say, well, I want to be doing ads, I want to get a website, I want to do this, that, and you want to be everywhere. And it's like, they don't think through the fact that then you're going to have to pay for that and they might not have the budget. So we try and just kind of rein things back a little bit and take one step at a time. Out with that home-based business, for how I structure managing the company, growing the company, I always structure around three key things. So that would be sales, and support. So like for me, you don't have a business if you've not got those 3 things in place, and you've not got one that can actually scale or grow if you don't have that as well. So I think sales from a perspective of it needs to be your biggest focus. If you've not got money coming in, your business will collapse quickly. Systems, really, that's something that's been really key for us in the last year, because we've grown quite a lot in the last year, is changing, not being so attached to something that maybe doesn't work as you go as a company, and change as you need to. A lot of systems really I didn't really realise we could do. Like I'm not a very techie person, and we've been able to bring in people to automate systems for us and things that are going to work perfectly for our internal company. Support from the point of view of staff, but also like not just limiting that to just having payroll staff, but also having freelancers and consultants, and actually not even just that, but sometimes just a community that you're part of, and people who can then refer you on and different things like that as well. So sales, systems and support is the 3 key things for me.
Okay, amazing. That's good. It's good to know, because I know it's almost like when you're starting a business, where do you start from? What is the most important thing now, especially when you don't have the budget to do so? I would like to go to Sherrille. What was it that helped you when you first started, in terms of you wanted to do this thing and you didn't know, maybe you didn't know where to start, but how did you pick it up and say, this is what I'm going to do now? How did you make those hard decisions?
I mean, to be honest, I've been working for myself for 10 years before as a self-employed person. And for potential, female entrepreneur and inspiring female entrepreneur, I would really try to build your knowledge and experience before you rush into, because it's very hard when you're learning on, the job, and you need to make money, you need to make everything work. For me, the first thing I did, I had all the hands-on experience anyway. The first thing I did was created my business plan. And it took me about 6 months. I did a lot of research to know what was on the market. Because of my experience, I already knew what I was going to offer. I was quite, knowledgeable, but there's always something new that you don't know. Researched a lot, created my business plan, listed how much my cost would be. So part of my research, for example, my premises, I knew I wanted to be Mayfair. I knew I wanted a particular size. So I would look online, call the estate agents, have chats with them, find out what was needed, such as business rates, what the rent might be, was there a deposit, license, insurance. Basically list every single thing in your business plan, the customer journey, what are you offering, how many team members you're going to need, what's the structure of the business, operationally, who's going to do what, when, why, and how. And list basically as much things as possible. You will always find, even when you've done your plans and you're actually executing it, you will always find things pop up that you hadn't thought of or you didn't realize. But if you have a plan, it's your foundation to work on. And when you've got your plan and you're executing it, you are going to adjust things, because not everything is going to go exactly to plan. Once I had my plan in place, and I think that really helps you in terms of investment, because they can see that you've really thought about what you're going to do with an investor that you approach. You can really see, you've listed, the likelihood of the cost, you list potential revenues that you're going to achieve, and, budgeting how things, my plan was 3 years. That really helped me to iron out everything that I could think of. And then once the plan was created, I researched and found an amazing accountant. Google was my best friend. So I found an accountant that specialized in actually the hair and beauty industry. And literally I did that from going on Google and researching. I called this accountant and I said, listen, I want to set up my own business. This is my knowledge, my expertise. And I have been speaking to potential investors, and I don't know if my plan really works. I'm not an accountant. Would you mind figures? Would you mind to look? And we said, absolutely. So we sat down, we looked at everything together. He said, give me a couple of weeks, I'm going to scrutinize. When he came back, there were things I hadn't even thought of. But at the time, he said, I'm really excited. You really thought about this. Your plan works. And that helped me to prepare all the things I needed in order to get investment. We use the Seed Enterprise Scheme, which is a government scheme that, helps new businesses finance using, for breaks for investment. It's worth Googling Seed Enterprise, EIS, SEIS. There's so many grants. I invested my own money as well. I took out a loan, It's very rare you're going to find all the money in one place. Once you've got a plan, you know what you can offer. Most investors want something in return. So if you clarity on your cost and what you can offer, then it helps you to secure your investment, and also it helps you to open your business because you've got a clear plan of what you're going to do and when, etc.
Amazing. So I think even one thing you said was that it took 6 months to actually put together that plan. And I think I've experienced a lot of people, a lot of businesses and women come to me and say they want to do something, they want to do it in a month. But it's like, we sometimes have to say, okay, slow down, let's think about this. What exactly do you want to do? And kind of breaking down those steps, because you don't want to rush into anything without thinking it through in terms of making sure that you're fully ready and you launch strong. And that's kind of what we do as well at Revolt. But moving on, we want to bring in some of the audience questions that they have ready. So some of them are going to come up on the screen now. and then I'll just read them out. So just wait for one of them to pop up. Okay. Okay, we have from C. Caroline, how do you empower women as you have built up your businesses? How do you get them to value their contribution? I think that's a really good question. I'm going to hand it over to the floor. Whoever wants to pick that up.
I don't know why it's got C. Caroline. I would assume, does that mean there's someone called Caroline that wrote the question, or I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway.
no, but go ahead.
Okay, right. What I do and what we've always done, and honestly, like what we've all said is the fact that it's a journey, and I want people to remember. The reason I've said that, and I'm looking back now, I don't even know how I started to do this, but I literally will take on apprentices or someone that is looking to learn, and I grow them up. And empower them, train them up. They do their childcare qualification, their leadership qualification. But in the meantime, I'm asking them, I can see the strength in them. I can see how good they are at certain things. And that's how I grow my team. And I then get them to go manage other branches. And that's how we've never employed a manager to head any of our 15 branches. We've never. Because we've just grown ourselves in-house. So literally in-house grown. And that's how I feel as a confident leader that we all are. And as a woman, even part of giving back is the whole thing of empowering everyone under you and giving them training, giving them that skill for them to be the best version of themselves and grow them to then go and manage other branches if it's what they want. You know, so I've always done. And that's what we've done and if you ask me, how did that even came about? I couldn't tell you. I'm not anywhere. I haven't read a book that says this is how to do it. But it's just one of those things I thought, I never had anyone believed in me when I was younger. No one believed, well, I didn't even believe in myself, to be honest. And I probably don't. I'm being honest. But that's the thing, is the fact that you try stuff and it works. I think, oh, that's interesting. That actually works. Oh, yeah, we could do that again. And literally, that's how we've done it. So mine is to empower everyone around me, regardless whether you're old or young or whatever, empower you to be the best version of yourself, that confident woman or young man that you are, digging deep, finding out what skills you have inside you and helping you to be that best version of yourself. And that's what we do and we've always done and continue to do.
Amazing. I think that was a really strong answer. Fiona Burrage, do you mind actually chipping in into that as well and answering that question?
Well, as a team, I'm quite small, as in the SOP, it is just myself. However, we have employed women, and I think a big part is being, I suppose, a good role model. And I have a son, and I suppose he's demonstrating how it's not easy, as Fiona Grayson said, like trying to balance it all. And I think, you know, there's definitely people that maybe perpetuate that it is, but it is possible to balance everything. It just takes a lot of in terms of, I suppose, like, demonstrating this to other people. I suppose it's about being honest and showing kind of the things that go wrong and the things that go right, and also taking time to be a good person and to value other people in like the wider community. So I think like days like these are fantastic because we're all contributing to other women to give, you know, tell them what's gone wrong for us and what's gone right, and hopefully that people can learn from it. So I think it's being the best version that you can for other people and also supporting women, because I will say that Deb, as some of us are probably aware, is a great champion of women. And actually, I read a quote from Serena Williams today, and she was saying that actually we're all stronger, really, if we empower each other. And I think that's probably the best way that I can be, I suppose, help other women is in that way. And I guess when it comes in terms of other valuing other people's contributions, is just making sure that those people are appreciated. So taking the time. So anyone that I have worked with, I work with a lot of females. I work with the female business coach, and she's fantastic. She touches base with me regularly, but likewise, I'll ask her how, just because I'm paying her to help me doesn't mean I won't ask her how she is. So I think it's that kind of reciprocal relationship, really.
Of course, of course. Is there anything anyone wants to add to that before I move on?
I think we've got a team of 18 now, and there's 14 of them that are female. And it's been quite interesting being on that journey where, for me, one of the things that I really noticed was I was watching some other friends that have got businesses where they would raise up really amazing people in the team, and then they would maybe see a better job somewhere that was paid better money or something like that, so then they would leave them, and that person would be really gutted because they just lost someone that's paid their team. And so what I flipped the model on its head a little bit. So now we have a one-to-one meeting every 3 months with each of our team, and we ask them, like, what's your aspirations? Like, what do you actually want to do? What do you want to be paid? How many hours do you work? Like, ask them those specific questions. Like, what do they actually want their life to look like? Do they want to, whenever they're allowed, do they want to go traveling? Do they want to work remotely? Like, what do they want that to look like? And now they actually come up with plans as to what they want the future to look like for them. And then it means that we can then plan and think, right, okay, that person wants to earn this amount of money, so how can we train them up to put them that we can afford to pay them that much money? And that has been really key for us to actually, and my teams they've responded and said they felt really empowered with that. And it's actually been something as well in our hiring process, which is actually in the interviews came out and said people really liked the job and wanted the job because of that setup. They knew they could grow within the company. So for me, that's really a key kind of feature that we've put in place that's helped empower women.
That's pretty good. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. We have Wealthy 570. What are some day-to-day habits and mentality you use to ensure the business runs progressively regardless of unexpected obstacles? I think this is a really, really good question. Deb, can you start us off in answering that?
Oh, I'm glad you asked me because I really wanted to say something but didn't want to butt in. So for me, is what I find really effective is I used to panic a lot about everything. Oh my God, I've got so much to do and there's so much coming in. And as a business owner, there's only going to be more coming in. The more people you employ, there's only going to be more conversations. So when you reach the point where you're probably going to explode, something happens and something. You know what? Life is just a series of scenarios that need solutions. That's what it is. One foot in front of the other. Everything has got an answer. Everything has got a. But everything that's in front of you in a day has got a solution. And if it hasn't, then you can just think of something else to do with it. Everything, you'll always find a way. So if you just stop and think, right, I've got this to do, tick that off my list. This to do, tick that off my list. I find when I'm at work as well, I'll find people like they've obviously got something to say, but they don't want to say it. And you're like, what's the matter? And they're like, I don't want to add to it. You've got loads to do today. I don't want to add to it. And you're like, bring it. Just bring it in, get it off your chest, you'll solve it. Boom, move on. Let's do the next thing. So I think it's just literally put one foot in front of the other, do one thing at a time, and don't beat yourself up. If the whole list doesn't get done in a day, tomorrow's another day, and you can start all over again. So that's it.
Amazing. Can we go to Fiona on also answering that as well? Fiona Grayson.
Yeah, sure. I agree with Deb in terms of just nipping things in the bud. I would say, though, on the back of that, it's cliche, but like looking after myself. So making sure that I fit in a workout and just, I feel like starting the day, there's that army thing they do in the army, isn't there, where they all have to make their beds just so they've accomplished something, right? And it sets them up for the day. And I feel like make your bed. And for me, I work out in the morning just so that I've got it out of the way. And it means that if for any reason I have to work later or something unexpected does come in, I know that I've done something, looked after myself. And I would say that last year was actually learning really to like listen to my body more, because I used to always take things out. I'd go for a run and run it off, and literally found last year just like not having the energy while we were building the benefits program. Like just I'd be out on a run and I just had no energy and it wasn't like me. And instead of pushing through that, like literally just listening to it and switching over and doing a bit of yoga or Pilates, or just not, I don't know, just really looking after myself first and foremost. Because I when we launched last September, I just wasn't sleeping, and that's not like me at all. I've always kind of felt like I've got a good relationship with myself, but like it takes its toll, and you just can't show up and like do the things that you've got to do if you are stressed. And it's like really obvious, and I've interviewed so many women now and they all say the same thing, and I've always kind of like self-care. But actually it's so important. So I would definitely add that to what Deb's already said.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that and being honest. Sherrille, do you mind actually adding just a little bit on before we move on to the next question to that previous one?
So in terms of routines, what habits? I think when you're an entrepreneur, you have to have habits, because it's habits that leads you to success or leads you to whatever you're doing. Yeah. My habits, I meditate. I'm a meditator. My husband says I sleep, but actually I don't. I meditate. So I've got my app that I listen to in the morning just to ensure that I'm grounded. I take that time to thank the people in my life, to thank my body, my mind, and really to make sure I'm grounded before I get up and start running. Sometimes I have to be honest, I find it challenging because my mind is already active and, you know, I have to really work. But meditation really helps me. Also, I really try to set up my team for the day of what the plans are, what we're going to do, what we need to accomplish. Really share knowledge as much as possible. Obviously, things always come up, and when they do, you need to just work on them. Luckily, I'm not a panicked person. I think Jamaicans by default are quite calm. So whenever my team tends to come with me with a challenge, they're always like, oh my God, guess what? And I'm like, it's fine, don't worry. My motto is, it's fine, don't worry. You listen and I process it. I'm not an over panicked person. And then, okay, don't worry, this is what we're going to do. And I think when you're in business, especially if you manage a team, it's not just yourself. You need to have that insurance way about you. Because things are going to happen no matter how well you plan things. And having a good, clear, level head and a calmness about you will really help to iron out or work on any obstacles or challenges.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for that. So, ladies, we've had an amazing session. We've actually come to the end of our session, rounding up. But I think we've really got a few key points, actually more than a few key points to kind of take on in terms of starting a business or being a business owner and growing and scaling that business. And I want to thank all of these amazing business owners and female founders for coming on and sharing with us all the experiences and their own knowledge. But that is the end of our session today. Make sure to go onto the WOTC page and follow and share and use the hashtags, everybody. Use the hashtags and just share your experience and your thoughts. And if you have any more questions, I'm sure that you can connect to these wonderful women on social media and ask away. Thank you so much for today, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ladies.
Enjoy.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you all.
Today we'll be looking at child safety. Today we are going to be talking about breastfeeding.
Makes my toes cold thinking about it.
Amazing. Thank you so